Okay, guys, Buffy. I have finished, and yes, I am sick again. But I finished Buffy, the Vampire Slayer, the TV show. And of course, I have a few thoughts. One, I loved it. It was very, very entertaining. By the end of season 7, the final season, I was getting a little bit to the point where I felt that it could have been condensed a little bit. I feel like it got drawn out a little bit more than it needed to, but that's okay. Some of you may have seen my short that I did a little while back about Xander being a jerk. That thought remains the same, mostly. Until about end of season 6, beginning of season 7, there is an event with him and Anya. I'm not going to say what, just because I don't want to do any spoilers, but the event with him and Anya, I think really knocked him upside the head in a way that was needed. And then he really kind of gets his head out of his butt and becomes more of a friend. He's not so focused on himself and his thoughts and really just himself. To branch off of that, throughout the show, there is a recurring theme of Buffy's friends not being willing to listen to her. Yes, Buffy is stubborn as hell. When she makes a decision, the decision is made for her. She's not changing her mind. But her friends, they communicate with her in a way that is very egocentric and almost mindless. They don't think about Buffy's perspective at all. They just kind of mow her down with their thoughts and their feelings. And because so many shows, it's, this episode would have been avoided if with one simple question and an answer. That's not the case here, but I feel like the relationships between the characters would have been so much more solid if they would just listen to each other, as I feel like so many of the conflicts between, especially the main three, so Buffy, Willow, and Xander, played by Sarah Michelle Gellar, Allison Hannigan, and what's his name, Nicholas Brendan, respectively. I just feel like their group, like the fabric of the relationship, would have been so much more solid and so much more grounded if they had figured out how to listen to one another, and stop passing so much blame. Like, Buffy, you did this, you ruined our summer, you're so stupid, blah 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 blah. Instead of being like, Buffy, I felt abandoned when you did this thing. And those of you who have seen the show, I'm sure you know exactly what I'm referencing. But like, she made decisions that not everyone agreed with. And that happens in real life. Not everyone's going to agree with decisions that you make. But I feel like if they really care about you, they would at least listen and not just yell at you and tell you you're stupid until you apologize, which sometimes you're gonna be in the right and you shouldn't have to apologize. And I feel like Buffy was just pushed into a corner a lot, where instead of being allowed to express herself and talk about her feelings and where she was at whatever point in time, and then she was forced to apologize to people who were treating her terribly. But it was a really good show. It had a great cast. Like I said, Buffy, Willow, and Xander, the main three, were played by people whose names I'm sure you recognize. Sarah Michelle Gellar, of course. I feel like most people know who she is. Allison Hannigan, Willow. She went on to be in How I Met Your Mother, and she did, what was that comedian show? Penn and Teller, I think. She hosted it or something. Nicholas Brendan was in Criminal Minds for a few seasons. So they all three of them went on to do some stuff. And so their acting was great. I very much enjoyed their portrayal of their characters, even if sometimes I did not enjoy the characters themselves. Just disagreeing with how they treated each other. And then of course we had our recurring characters. So Buffy's mom, Joyce, her mentor and watcher, Giles. He was beginning to end, really. James Marsters as Spike. There was Daniel something as Angel. There was Emma Caulfield, played Anya. I hope I'm saying her name right, Caulfield. Dawn, Michelle Trachtenberg. There was, oh my gosh, who was it? I can't remember his first name, but his last name is Woodland, and he shows up in the last season, and he's lots and lots of fun. He plays Principal Wood. So the cast was just phenomenal. I don't think I have a single complaint about the cast. And then Charisma Carpenter, who played Cordelia in the first few seasons, and then actually went on to be in Angel's spinoff, which is really cool. And I actually just started Angel, so she's still good old Cordy. But I really enjoy Charisma Carpenter. I was first introduced to her in Charmed. She played a seer. Whenever I finish a TV show, I always like to talk about the ending. As y'all know, I love a good ending. Buffy did a pretty good job. It's not my favorite ending. I think New Girl is still kind of sitting up there as one of my favorites. But Buffy, it comes to a climax and they save the world again. And it's lots of fun. The fighting's fun. It's entertaining to watch. I feel very much, though, if the ending had been, because the ending was very, very plot driven. It was, okay, the climax is over, now the show is over. Or the season is over, and so the show is over, because season 7 was the last season. But I am very, very much for character-driven stories and character-driven endings, and Buffy was such a character-driven story that by having a plot-driven ending, I feel like they missed out on a lot. So the climax happens, and I think it's 3 minutes later, the show's over. So it doesn't wrap up the characters very well. Which, there are some shows that do that on purpose. I don't know if this was one of them. I feel like they were going for a cutesy, we saved the world, now it's over type ending. But people die in the last episode. I'm not gonna spoil and tell you who. But we're literally like, we find out they're dead, and 5 minutes later, the show's over, and there's no time to really process the deaths within the show. Yeah, there's no time. I feel like it was just like 100, instead of like 0 to 100, it was 100 to 0, and it was done. It was still good. I still enjoyed it. It's nowhere near the disaster of How I Met Your Mother, like the ending. Um, I think it could have been better. One thing I did really, really enjoy, and I'm going to be a little bit vague about this because I don't want to spoil anything, but in either the last or the second last episode, Buffy has an epiphany regarding her self-growth. And I think that epiphany is very real and very relatable. And I'm really glad they put it in, especially because it does tie into the ending very, very well for her. I do wish it had been better and more in depth regarding her, like the closure of her character. But I did very much enjoy it. Yeah, I think those are all my thoughts. I did actually also watch the Buffy movie. So I will do a comparison video probably in a couple days. But yeah, if you have any thoughts, I'd love to hear them, love to see them. So just put them in the comments down below, and have a great day. Bye.